Anyway. I'm so sorry, Susato. I should have told you about the toxin. Ray. You have a strong sense of responsibility, I know. That's why you decided to shoulder the burden alone. No, that's not it at all. I just realized, are Ray and I can't remember his name. Susato's dad wearing similar outfits? Especially in terms of color. Oh yeah, the collars, they kind of match. No, that's not it at all. I was scared of my failure coming to light, that's all. So I hoped to retrieve the substance from the Englishwoman before anyone found out. Before the trial started, do you remember what you said, Susato? That you had no doubt in your mind about my innocence. That you'd stand by me to the last. Are you looking at me with the dreamy eyes again? I remember. And yet I didn't deserve your trust in me. I hid important details from you, Susato. I completely betrayed your faith in me. Hit me, Susato! I deserve it! No, in fact, throw me to the floor! Susato takedown. No, that's too good for me as well. Drag me through the city streets! I'm no better, you know. Oh. Even though in my heart I knew that you pulled the knife blade from Miss Brett's back, there was just a brief moment when, in my mind, I doubted you. Susato. I'm sorry. After I stood here and promised you that I'd stand by you and always be on your side, I betrayed your faith in me too. At my eye. And as such, I failed you as a lawyer. Oh no. Also, hold on 1 second. I was readjusting with the OBS setup and I got rid of the little viewer count temporarily, but I think I'm too used to it, so it's back. Can I actually... Maybe I can make it smaller? I think that's... Okay, I think that's fine. Oh, no, no. Okay, Alright, I've noticed... So they are kind of wearing similar colors, but his are a bit muted, and there's a little more red than purple. I think the situation has taught both of you a valuable lesson. Placing your unbridled faith in another is no easy task. Yes, Father. That fact has certainly struck home. Which is why I can see more clearly now that the rain is gone. Well, I said rain, not Ray. So, Ray. Yes? Can you find it in your heart to forgive me? Oh, Susato. Aww. You know you'll always be a gallant, dashing lawyer in my eyes now. Oh, Ray. I was so scared, you know, when it happened. I didn't know what was going on. Excuse me. The Englishwoman was sitting at the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. I know it was you who stole the poison. Well, now, whatever do you mean? And then, a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet. My nose itches. Before collapsing on the floor in front of me with a knife in her back. It all happened right before my eyes. And you were the only people in the hut at the time? That's right, just Miss Brett and myself. There was no one else. So I just don't understand how she could possibly have been stabbed like that. I still remember the photo, there was a crack in the wall. So that could have been it. A great mystery indeed. I still can't believe it happened. That's why I just couldn't bring myself to speak up. It will be alright. However it happened and whatever really went on by the sea that day, I promise you that I'm going to prove everything you saw is true. Spoken like a true Mikotoba. Now, I think we should discuss what's coming up in the trial, don't you? We don't have much time. We must make sure we have our facts in order. Yes, I expect the poison is going to come under close scrutiny in the upcoming proceedings. The police should hopefully have identified it on the blade by now. The trouble is, it's a completely new laboratory-synthesized blend of alkaloids. The police won't have any way of testing for it. Oh, yeah. I was about to say, did they already figure out how to test for it? Because if so, that was pretty fast. But then she dropped the whole alkaloid thing. Yes, without the chemical reagent, it's impossible to detect the toxin. Reagent, as in reactivate. Chemical sorry, I'm reagent. I'll just go with reagent for now. Hopefully the game can... well, yeah. I sent a colleague of mine off with some earlier to deliver to police headquarters. I think perhaps you should have some as well, though, just in case. Special indicator solution for a new poison under development by my father's team. It's been created in strict secrecy and exists only in my father's laboratory. Why is my nose so itchy? The label appears to be written in a foreign language that I don't know. English? Oh, German! It's German, so your knowledge of English is going to be of little help here, I'm afraid. Couldn't you have just written medicine on it in Japanese? Then we'd all be able to read it. German is the international language of medicine, my dear. Really? But yes, I certainly see the merit in labeling the bottle in Japanese. Though I'm not sure medicine would be entirely appropriate. Crap. I was about to say, maybe... I dabbled a little bit in German, so I thought maybe I could try reading it, but... I can't... like... I see... A-Y-N-E-S... I can't... That's cursive. What's the matter, Susato? You're suddenly very quiet. It's this newspaper article. Exclusive! Deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory! I'm wondering how the information got out, given that it was a government secret. Writes in many memo. It was all the Englishwoman's doing! Nani? It was when the professor and Soseki-san were being interviewed at the laboratory. No, like... okay, maybe she dropped a... I'm thinking maybe she dropped a hint to the photographer / photojournalist, but... That so-called English lady swanned in, like that little swan on her hat, woo! And without any compunction said to Professor Mikotoba, "Oh, Professor, surely your guest would love to hear about your work on that substance there." It put me in a very awkward position, to be frank. But Soseki-san's curiosity has been piqued, so I had little choice but to give him a cursory introduction. Also... okay, hold on one second. It's a little too small, so... I can't tell if that was the same size it was before, but... excuse me. So then, Soseki-san knew about the poison. Yes, and it's highly likely that the reporter who was writing up the story about us would have caught a glimpse of the toxin too. It's Many Memo-san. By the way, did that reporter join you all when he went to the beach? Oh, no, I don't remember the reporter being there. Could have been in disguise? Indeed, he shouldn't have been. I very much doubt anyone would have wanted him there. Oh yeah, he could have taken photos of the criminal like, hey look, there's a murderer frolicking on the beach! A known criminal had been given permission by the authorities to bathe by the seaside. So Seki-san pointed out that inviting a reporter might be problematic. Yeah, throat. So the man was sent back to his office. Yet he obviously didn't go back. He secretly followed the party to the beach and took this very candid photograph. And then presumably he posted it anonymously to the police. Ah! Yes, that must be what happened. Maybe he was trying to deal his own brand of justice? A murderer on the beach? Not on my watch, stab! Counsel! We've just heard the new witness is now ready to testify. The trial's about to resume. Please proceed to courtroom at once! It's time to steel ourselves once again, then. Defense attorney Ryotaro Naruhodo. Yes. Rie has put her faith in me now and told me everything. So I can't let her down. I have to prove that what she's telling the court is true. I have to prove what really happened that day. Ow. I hereby call this court to order as we reconvene to continue the trial of Ray Membami. Prosecutor Archie, have you summoned a new witness? No!
Before I address that question, Your Excellency, I have something very important news to share.
Oh? What news?
I'm pregnant!
And why does he look so happy about it?
During the research, with the collaboration of Professor Mikotoma's laboratory at Yume University, the police re-examined the knife that was used to end Miss Giselle Brett's life.
Excellent. I admire your rapid handling of the matter.
Oh, too kind, Your Excellency. Too kind. I was merely carrying out your instructions, of course.
I had the region delivered to the police headquarters by rickshaw, so it would be there a good time. But judging by the man's swagger, I fear we might need to brace ourselves for the inevitable. He's taking all the credit! And, counsel, what were the results?
This dagger, which was so cruelly used to end the life of the victim, had...
Maybe the region didn't reach them? Are you sure about that? My nose.
I would stake the reputation of the police on it.
Armed with the region, the test is extremely simple. They couldn't have made a mistake. Great.
In short, the accused's feeble excuse earlier.
Before that, please shut your mouth while I look at this. Ah yes, this must be the victim's blood. Oh dear, blood is never a pretty sight, is it? I'm having to fight the urge to run it under a hot tap and get it clean. You've always been fastidious about cleanliness, haven't you? I think this is something else, Father. Father, please get rid of the knife, I'm gonna throw up.
Has been utterly destroyed.
Why is my nose itching? Eh.
Now, the prosecution is ready to call the new witness.
Maybe they swapped out the knife to stabbing, like, stabbed by two knives. One was the poison one, and the second was... Okay, let me toss this aside. Let me carefully put this back in the other knife's place, and we're good to go. The newspaper reporter who managed to capture a photograph of the crucial moment. Good. Very well, officer. Bring in the witness. No trace of poison on the knife. But if that's really the case... Wait. Fountain pen, R... Oh! What if this is the murder weapon? Like, it had a little cap full, like the cap usually full of ink, but but it was removed, so maybe it was full of the poison, and it had blood on it, and then it was, like, it was used to stab. It had blood on it, then he wiped it off. Maybe? How could the toxin have entered the victim's body?
Witness, please state your name and occupation for the court.
I don't know what kind of voice to give him. Right, Ted, many member of the Show You News. I'm what people could like to call a journo. What's a journo, Father? Do you know? It's simply a contraction of journalist. I'm there when the news breaks, putting pen to paper and catch those scoops so they're in print the next morning. They don't call me the hero of the Herald for nothing. The nice guy of news. Oh, so, it was you who took this photograph, wasn't it? Well, what are we here? I don't know if I'm doing New York or some horrible mix-up of New York and something else. I'm sorry.
Brace yourselves, people!
Many Memo senses a scope in the offing. Oh god. Okay, for a second I thought he was about to say, female student masquerades as male. Since, unfortunately, Susato has to pretend to be a guy in order to defend her friend. Female student up to foul play defended by curiously handsome young lawyer in the Supreme Court. The readers will lap this up. We'll send about the folded 72-point and a 5-leg format for the more. I don't know what accent I'm doing. Also, is that purple ink or paint? Right then. Let's start with your name. Oh, it's Ryutaro Naruhodo. Next, what made you want to become a lawyer? I wanted to reform our country's legal system, I suppose. Ryutaro has suddenly become very ambitious, I see. I just borrowed Kazuma-sama's dream for a while.
By the way, my name is Takatsuchi Ouchi. That's Takatsuchi Ouchi. The so-called dark horse of the Supreme Court. My objections strike fear into every defense lawyer's heart.
No offense, man, but I don't care. Nah, the readers won't buy that. Wernish? Yes? What this court demands to know is whether or not you were responsible for the taking of this picture. It was delivered anonymously to the Imperial Police Bureau only yesterday. Yeah, I wouldn't be a journo if I didn't click quick when presented with a scoop like that now, would I? Are you by any chance an ancestor for Lotta Hart?
Yeah.
Sometimes stories call out to me, sometimes I have to chase them down, but either way, you gotta be fast. Ow. Fast legs to run with and a fast hand to write with. It's no good if you don't know it down, I always say. That's what I call my minimalism. Minimalism? Oh yes, I remember your face. We met that day when you were interviewing myself and Soseki-san. Oh god, my... itch. Yes, right. That was me. That was me. Many Memo again. Trying to invoke Joey Wheeler. But you were supposed to be going back to the Show You News offices after our meeting. Yeah, Yugi, Brooklyn Rage. But the scoop is, I didn't. Because that English woman's words had piqued my journalistic interest. Yeah. Miss Brett's words? A criminal left to do as she pleases just because she happens to be a British citizen? I hope you have a ton of pencils. It's horse shit. I mean horse dung. This country's judiciary is rotten to the core. The Supreme Court's rulings aren't worth the paper they're written on. The police are just imperial pawns.
Hey, your tongue, young man. There are complex political issues at play.
Well, anyway, I quickly jotted down those words she said in my memo pad. I can't believe I said that all. Are you ready? Are you ready? You ready? I'll read it out. It's all here. Read it? Right, here goes.
I should like to go with everyone to see your country's coast.
A serious criminal going on some junket. The people need to know about this. Ow. That's why I decided to sneak after him. Yeah. To get the woman's story so I can hammer in the press. Do you mean to say that you did indeed witness it firsthand? Oh god. Why is my nose? The grim scene portrayed by this photograph? If memory serves right, wasn't there some people find the whole snapping suspender sexy? If that's the case, then I don't think this guy is helping it at all. Oh yeah, I saw it with my very own journal eyes. From start to finish. Through the viewfinder of my trusty camera. Thank you, Many Memo-san. You will now give a formal testimony before the court. You will state exactly what it is that you witnessed of the events surrounding Miss Barrett's death. The beach hut was made of shoddy old reed screens, so there were plenty of gaps I could see through. The Englishwoman was sitting on a stool when the schoolgirl came in and started arguing with her. Seconds later, the girl pulled out a knife, throwing the Englishwoman to the floor as she stabbed her in the back. My smoldering journal spirit burst into flame. Quick as a flash, I whipped out my camera, ready to click. Slap. Do the slap! Also, I just noticed this one sleeve with the red thing. Is it some sort of student emblem or journalist emblem? I pulled apart the rough weave of one of the screens and poked the lens through for the perfect shot. What was I doing there? Read screens, you say? Right, you can see them clearly enough in that great shot I snapped. The hut walls were just screens made of coarsely woven reeds. Now that I think about it, like, I feel like in another case entirely, instead of just people would be accusing him of peeping Tom. Yes, it allows the breeze to pass through and bring some relief from the summer heat. Yeah. And it was a breeze for me to poke my camera through and see the whole thing hotting up. Ignoring for the time being the appalling invasion of privacy involved, did you witness everything that happened from the moment the defendant entered the hut? Oh yeah, I saw it. I saw the whole thing from start to finish. And you say that you took the photograph through a gap in one of the screens. Luckily for me, they were pretty shoddily woven. Blech. I pulled the reeds apart and thrust the lens of my camera through the gap. Where's the crack in the lens? No, stop itching. Also, like, did he replace the glass? Would I get away with it, or would I be seen? It was the gamble of a lifetime.
Tenacity and purpose are considered admirable in a journalist, I suppose.
Run a risk one day, run a scoop the next. That's meta-memoism in a nutshell. Please stop taking pictures, at last. It would appear we have a genuine witness to this wicked crime. The evidence and testimony are extremely compelling. I believe we may be close to a verdict. Please no.
Wonderful news, Your Excellency. Wonderful.
Nevertheless, it cannot be denied. This testimony begs one very large question.
What question?
Exclusive news. A startling photograph. All the makings of an exceptional story for the reporter. Almost like the whole thing was planned? Why then was the story never published? That's right. It seems clear to me there are circumstances at play here that are yet to be understood.
More pathetic excuses.
Very well then, Counsel. Proceed with your cross-examination. Yes, Your Excellency. There's more to this reporter than meets the eye. He's keeping something about this case very close to his chest. Like his suspenders. Okay, now I'm seeing the little three circles, ow, on the armband. Hold up. Wrong button.
Hold it!
What made you want to see what was happening inside the beach hut in the first place? Naked ladies? Aren't they underage? Call it a journo instinct. Can you think of a better reason? Oh, I don't know. Perhaps because as well as being a proven criminal, the person inside was a young lady? I see where you're going with this. Brace yourselves, people. He's painting the journo as a voyeur. It's hardly slander, sir. You had a camera and you were taking pictures without the woman's knowledge. Nope, you got it all wrong, little student boy. Sorry? To my mind, all that was inside that hut was a scoop. Nothing more, nothing less. Scoops knows no gender. Man or woman, it's all news. That's not even many memoism. It's basic journalism. If only the courtroom was as indiscriminate. I agree. Ah, my nose. Yeah. Right, so if that's all buttoned up, can we move on? Tell the court then, witness, what sight befell your eyes when you looked inside the hut? A sight that vindicated my journal instinct, that's what. When I pulled back the reeds, I could see it all as clear as day.
Hold it!
So you actually saw Membami-san entering the hut. Yup, and she was raging like my journal spirit. And the argument you mentioned, what was that about exactly?
Yeah. You stole it! I did it! I didn't steal it!
That kind of thing. Talking about the poison, I suppose. The student girl walked right up to the English woman and really started laying into her. I mean, if she'd laid into her anymore, there would have been eggs! That is a weird take. The man should have been an author. His descriptive talents are wasted on journalism. But the student's rantings fell on deaf ears. Like a Japanese person listening to English for the first time. I mean, to be fair, I think that can apply to, like one person hearing a foreign language for the first time, but I think he has a point there. He really ought to work on his similes first, though, to be honest. Anyway, the point is, that woman in the dock was mightily angry.
And her temper finally got the better of her, it seems. Dear me.
Which was the climactic moment that I caught on film. Also, I don't think lead tastes good.
Hold it!
Do you swear before this court that you actually saw the precise moment when the stabbing took place? Wait, okay, 1, how many broken pencils has he thrown down? I didn't even notice. 2, did he just... Is it a never-ending supply of pencils in his ear? Ha, the precise moment? I didn't just see that. I saw the whole hell scene play out, from start to finish.
I have here a simple plan of the beach hut. Perhaps you can use it to explain to the court exactly what you witnessed.
Can it be in evidence, please? Right you are. It's all here in my mini memo pad. When I first peered into the hut, I'm sure that the English woman was on this stool at the back of the hut here.
Yes, the accused own testimony confirmed that.
She just sat at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly, is what I have noted down. It's my turn to testify now. Try not to interrupt. Sorry! Then the next moment, as I was watching, the evil student girl entered the hut. After a while, the pair of them ended up in the middle of the hut, arguing furiously. The English one went for the student, but the girl was dodged out of the way. And in a flash, plunged the knife into her adversary's back as the two passed each other. What you described as a grim crime, indeed. Never sugarcoat the truth. That's what many memoism says. Oh, thank God. By the way, Many Memo-san, whilst you were watching that terrible scene unfold before your eyes through the gap in the screen, did it not occur to you to try to prevent the tragedy rather than capture it on film? Sorry, also, for a second I just realized that's kind of the, I feel like that's become the take now, like if a fight breaks out, like, maybe most people would whip out their phone cameras to get a video of it, instead of calling the police, or they'll say, "Someone call the police, I'm recording this!" Genos have to be observers. We can't get involved. That's our raison d'etre. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Raison d'etre? Raison d'etre? So you didn't converse with Miss Brett at all? Obviously not. An observer always remains on the outside looking in. And that's something to be proud of. Your Excellency, if I may. Yes, Professor. I think the witness's last expertly phrased statement should perhaps be added to his formal testimony. Father, what are you... I will grant the defense's request. Many Memo-san, you will supplement your formal testimony with the aforementioned statement. Well, nihilism is the foundation of many Memoism.
What? I'll gladly prove that my words aren't meaningless.
Is this where I present the pen? Not presenting just yet.
Hold it!
Really, you didn't set foot inside the hut? Are you quite sure about that? I think you may have the wrong impression of me.
We're talking about a murder scene here!
My nerves were stretched to breaking point already. Like your suspenders. Oh, I see, you were scared? Maybe I did have the wrong impression of you, yes. It was all I could do to stifle a scream and hold my hand steady enough to snap the shot. You really should have summoned help before thinking of your camera.
Many Memoism and humanism don't always agree! And most of the time in those instances,
Many Memoism comes out on top. As a sculptor of stories, sometimes I had to be cruel for my art. Yes, that's spot on! Surely he's making all this up. Claims to have spied the whole affair from start to finish. If true, his testimony is devastating. But it does seem as though he's holding something back, doesn't it? Fountain pen and an emblem of somewhere? Oh, okay. That's how you feel. I suggest you trust your instincts and press him on everything he said. As you've no doubt seen many times before in your role as judicial assistant. Yes, I have. I've seen witnesses like this pressed often. I know exactly what to do. I can at least save first, because I have an idea, but I'm not sure how it's gonna go.
Objection!
Yes! Many Memo-san, until now I've had a firm belief that newspapers are in the business of uncovering and publishing the truth. You're spot on there. The press don't lie, which is why I'm proud to wear the emblem of the Show You News on my arm. In a way, that's more mini-memoism. I've got some news about that. It seems the journalists who write for those papers don't always share the same passion for the truth.
What are you suggesting with those recriminatory words, Counsel?
Mini-Memo-san, do you recognize this fountain pen? Ah, my nose. Ah! Ah, he's shaking! This pen was found at the scene of Miss Brett's death. In fact, the murdered victim was gripping it in her hand as she died. What are you? If you look at the barrel of the pen, you'll notice that its owner's initials are engraved there. R.M.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up, Counsel. The initials of the accused, remember me.
You're halfway there. Is it a coincidence, I wonder? That your initials are also RM? Remember me. More like, remember me? It's a lawyer who's gonna kick your ass. No! Right-hand mini memo. RM. That's horse dung! Can't you see? One of the central tenets of mini-memoism is being a pencil user. And yet, as the court will clearly be able to see, yeah, on your right hand, there's a very obvious blue ink stain. I thought it was purple. I think I need to get my eyes checked. Or maybe it's bluish purple. It would appear it appears you must have rather carelessly left it somewhere recently. Actually, sorry, I love this. I just noticed Oseki's image. It looks like he's glaring at right, and it's like, this dude's following me everywhere. Your favorite fountain pen, that is. Horsey horse dung! Mini-Memo-san, is it not the case that before she died, you met with Giselle Brett in that beach hut?
Objection! Why should we listen to this absurd nonsense? It's nothing but another excuse.
Exactly. Show You News will stand behind me all the way. I deny everything. There must be as many people with the initials RM as there are stars in the night sky. I don't know, dude. There's a Show You emblem on the pen. The defense has neither the time nor the inclination to count every star in the sky. Oh, it's a cocky pose. And there's no need anyway, because this pen has more to tell. Yeah, there's another clue. A clue that undeniably proves who its owner really is. In our case, counsel, the defense will now show the court where this alleged clue lies. Of course, Your Excellency. Clue on the fountain pen is right. I said right. Right.
Got it!
As well as the initials, there's also an emblem on this fountain pen. An emblem that you will, of course, recognize. Mini-Memo-san. Goodness me! It's the emblem of the Show You News! In other words, the owner of this pen is an employee of the Show You News, whose initials are RM. Suddenly the stars in the night sky don't seem so numerous, do they? Well, Mini-Memo-san, how do you respond? Order! Order! Explain yourself, witness! My hat stinks! So, this is how the mighty Supreme Court works, is it? Using coercive tactics have well-meaning citizens reveal harmless secrets. I've used nothing but honest tactics. Alright then, fine. I won't try to hide it anymore. Seriously, the ink stain still looks purple. Yes, not long before that grim tragedy unfolded. I, a Show You News report on behalf of the public, conducted an interview with the Englishwoman. An interview?
You never mentioned this before?
When exactly was this? As I said, it was before that evil little student girl showed her face in the hut. Or the hut. It couldn't have lasted more than 2 minutes or 3, that's all. It was just a brief exchange.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had a thought. If he's... him constantly licking his pencil... If he was doing that with his fountain pen, would that mean his tongue turned blue? But it came to nothing. And as we many memoists say, the people don't pay their dues for unworthy news. However insignificant you deem it to be, this court cannot overlook their meeting between yourself and the victim. A meeting, not meeting. You will testify now under oath about the precise nature of this meeting and what transpired. Got it. Yes, alright. But... on one condition... Wait, can you...
Condition?
In all good conscience, I couldn't speak out alone about this. You need to call back the earlier witnesses, Soseki Natsume-san, and the detective. Also, yeah, that ink stain, it's, it still looks purple, but maybe indigo. Soseki-san? Yeah, oh yes, according to my notes here, that man.
Here's a secret of his own and
Brace yourselves, because it's not a harmless one, it's big.
what?
What? Minimalism states that one man's secret is every other man's front page story. Very well, I will grant the witness's request for this instance. Officer, summon the earlier witnesses back to the stand. I sense a fight coming on, like Soseki going, it's you who's been stalking me! Ah! Punch, punch, punch! Soseki hiding something? Soseki, you don't have to look behind you, he's right there! I asked the English woman for an interview, but she declined, so I left the hut without making a fuss. Then, watching secretly from outside, I saw the woman being stabbed and the other witnesses come running. The detective realized that the victim still had a pulse, so he ran out to fetch help. That's when... this writer man here asked the woman a very significant question. But he didn't say anything about that in his testimony, which is why many memoism demands I reveal it now. You mean to say the victim? The victim regained
consciousness?
Well,
And when she did, you decided to ask her something?
That's, true, yes? I thought the poison was insta-kill. Sorry, my nose. He did, and that's not all. The woman gave him a very definite answer. An answer that incriminates the accused.
This is preposterous. Why am I only hearing about this now? Why didn't you mention this before, you Yoko hack?
Is Yoko your only insult? Also, I'm pretty sure he kept it secret because it was a huge scoop for him. Oh, I thought I meant the... Okay, hold on. I thought Ouchi was asking Raita, not Soseki. It wasn't even a conversation. Yes, I did pose the Withering English Rose a question. I don't deny it. But she could no longer speak. She was barely conscious, even. Counsel for the defense, I expect a thorough cross-examination to be conducted here. This court must and will know the truth. Absolutely, Your Excellency. The reporter is claiming that Miss Brett implicated Ray somehow. What on earth could have happened in that hut? Joestar Dad, calm down.
Hold it!
You asked her for an interview, you say? Well, of course I did. I wanted to ask her about the incident she was involved in at the end of the last year. About the case in which Dr. John H. Wilson lost his life. I almost said Dr. John H. Lotson. Ah, my nose. Yeah. That's not the way I phrased it. Many memoism calls for straight talking. Why did you murder Dr. Wilson is how I'd put it to her. Yeah, that sort of talking is as straight as a ruler. Ask every question as if you're asking for a menu in a restaurant, I say. It's the best way. Sorry. Like, try to imagine going to a restaurant, like, Oh, thank you. Can I see the restaurant's menu, please? Oh, thank you. By the way, did you murder this? Why did you murder this guy? I don't see. I'm not a journalist and I've never done interviews before, but is that really a thing you should be doing? A veteran at the paper taught me that. And how did Miss Brett answer? With one simple phrase. Mystery is a woman's charm! Ooh, that told me. So I waltzed right out of there. That question answers jack shit. Really, something about that doesn't quite seem to fit together. Leave every room as if you're waltzing in a dance hall, I'd say. It's the best way. What if you can't waltz? Defendant at the paper taught me that. That was very persistent of you, considering that Miss Brett had just turned you away. Persistence wins the prize! Any many memoists will tell you that. Let them think you left, and just when they lower their guard, that's when you swoop in for the scoop. Should this guy be in paparazzi?
And the fruits of your labor are all too apparent in this telling photograph. Though I'm sure the young yokel student would rather not be reminded of this damning evidence.
Actually, it's thanks to that photograph we managed to identify the witness. And now that you found me, I'll tell you whatever you want to know. I got nothing to hide. I'm sure.
Please, do go ahead, witness. The court is eager to hear what you have to say.
Try to stop me. There's a story to tell here, and I'm gonna tell it.
Hold it!
Hold on one second. Death would have occurred within minutes. So, kinda sorta instant? Oh, yeah, deadly poison. Small smattering body. Proof fatal in minutes. Current methods cannot. They say within minutes, so I guess it can kind of make sense where she would be barely conscious. That's right, yep. Our altar friend here was a blabbering wreck, shaking all over from his head to his toes. Mustache twitching, eyes bulging, like right now. What do you expect? You don't know the terrifying troubles that taunted me whilst traveling abroad. Oh yeah. Like witnessing a quote-unquote murder and being accused of it. Back behind baleful bars! They'll be coming for me, surely. That's all I could think. I felt as though I were gasping for air, drowning in a sea of cold sweat. Ew. Poor Soseki-san. His experiences in London have scarred him deeply. Honestly, I'd be scarred deeply by all that too if I were him. As the world seemed to close in around me, I quietly recited a prayer to Amida Buddha. Eternal emptiness, empty eternity. The end is coming for me, surely. Never shoot such a resound in my courtroom, please. Alright, so it's like a... I was about to say it's like a separation of church and state, or temple and state? Yeah. And now we come to the crucial part. That's when it happened. What question? What exactly did he say? Oh, he's shaking. Well, now you should hear that from the horse's mouth, I think. Don't you, Mr. Rider-Man?
Out with it, you yokel hack. What did you say to her? What did you say to this dying Englishwoman?
Well, in truth, I've been catching crabs at the water's edge and building castles in the sand, you see? Oh, thank God you're alive! Quick, how do I cook crab? Well, the seaside is a place to be a leisure, I suppose. Even for a grown man. But then all of a sudden from that little beach hut, a young girl's panic-stricken cries for help pierced the air. Ray. I ran up to the beach to see what was happening, to find the defendant leaning over the collapsed victim. As soon as Inspector Hosonaga saw Miss Brett on the ground, he sprinted off to get help. And then, just a moment later, I heard a faint moan. A moan from the dead Englishwoman. Brains. I require brains! I nearly jumped out of my skin. But what did you ask her, Soseki-san? I asked her, who did this to you? I thought for a second he was gonna ask, where's the bathroom? Don't protract this any longer. How did the woman respond? She didn't! She said nothing in response. But... When understand, you will answer the questions asked of you unambiguously. Now, whether to raise a reticence, I demand that you amend your testimony. I will! She just lifted a trembling finger and pointed in the directions of the defendant. Great!
Hold it!
Hold up. So you try to find out who the culprit was. I was trying to see if there was, I was trying to see which one of Brett's hands were free. He who asks the question is a fool for a minute. He who does not remains a fool forever. I need to remember that quote. Because I'm always terrified that if I ask something, I'll look stupid. But sorry, my nose keeps itching. And having been labeled a criminal twice during my time in Great Britain, I was quick to make up my mind. Better not to be a fool for a minute! Better to be a fool for a minute than remain a fool in prison forever!
However, you indicated that the victim failed to respond. Is that correct?
I know why. I know why the Englishwoman said nothing. She was ignoring me because of my stupid mustache! Because I'm wasn't paralysis? Deadly poison. Impaired breathing, acute contraction of pupils. Maybe the swan hat was too heavy for her to look up. Piercing a lung and resulting in fatal hemorrhage. Oh dear. Soseki-san really has developed a dislike for the English. Oh, considering what happens to... I'm about to make a horrible joke, considering what the English did to India and almost every other place, I don't exactly blame him. Having read the report on his time in Great Britain, I can't say I'm surprised by his xenophobia. But the Englishwoman didn't ignore you at all. Did she, Mr. Right-Man? Well, yes, alright. She did respond in a manner of speaking, I suppose.
Hold it!
Miss Brett pointed a finger at the defendant. Was this what... Sorry, I'm trying to think. If Ray was here when everyone else rushed in, would she have really pointed behind herself? Soseki-san, is that really true? It's not easy to stand here and say this, but when we first entered the beach hut, The Englishwoman was sprawled on the floor before us, with a student girl standing on the far side of her. And when I asked, "Who did this to you?" the Englishwoman summoned her last ounce of strength to point a trembling finger at the back of the hut, which was, it can't be denied, in the direction of the student girl who stands accused today. No.
Soseki-san, why on earth did you neglect to mention this in your original testimony?
Fiddlesticks, I say! This is not a British court of law.
This is not a British court of law. You will respond in Japanese.
Yes, of course. The Englishwoman did point her finger towards the back of the hut, but I was trembling, and she was trembling. We were all trembling. Everything was a blur. And thinking about it, I feel as though perhaps she was pointing in a slightly different direction. Actually, no, not slightly, in a very different direction to where the student girl was standing. To somewhere at the back of the hut, where nobody was standing at all. You mean that your memory of events and the direction in which the victim was pointing are both unclear? Yes, that's it, unclear. I'm very, very unclear.
Objection! Your Excellency, surely this proves the matter beyond all reasonable doubt. Yes, the woman may barely have been conscious, and yes, perhaps her finger wavered slightly. But there can be no doubt that this was an attempt by the victim to confirm the identity of her assailant. Why? Because as the court can see, there was no one other than the accused in that direction. It is now abundantly clear that no one besides the accused could have committed this crime.
Can I present that photo with the crack in the back wall?
I'm inclined to agree. No, you're not. And in the absence of any credible argument to the contrary, I believe we can now conclude this trial.
No. Heh. The headline's writing itself. Ugh. Dashing lawyers' hopes dashed. 92 point across the whole page. We'll do an extra edition. This is a serious blow, Susato. Unless we're able to identify the true culprit and substantiate our claim with evidence, the judge will give his ruling and the trial will be over. That's impossible, Father. We don't even know how the crime was committed yet. I do. Impossible though the task may seem, we have no choice. We must think back over everything we've learned thus far. Somewhere in all those details, I'm confident we'll find the clue we need. Gray gave us her account on how events unfolded in the defendant's antechamber before the trial resumed. She told us what happened at the precise moment Miss Brett was killed. The Englishwoman was sitting at the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. And then, a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet before collapsing on the floor in front of me, with a knife in her back. How could Miss Brett have been stabbed in the back in a beach hut that was empty but for herself and Ray? That's a long sentence. Somewhere amid all the info we've gathered so far, there must be an answer.
I take it then that the defense has nothing further to add? Yes, we do!
So the gallant yokel student's luck finally runs out. I can't say I'm surprised.
In that case, I am ready to deliver my final verdict on this matter.
There's a crucial turning point. If I can't establish what really happened, it's over. Where was the real culprit hiding? And how did he or she stab the victim?
I know how!
I don't know.
Objection!
Your Excellency, I respectfully ask you to postpone your adjudication for the time being.
Oh? To what end, counsel?
The defense would like to present the court with an alternative theory. An alternative theory that can explain who the victim was actually trying to implicate with her dying gesture.
Objection!
An alternative theory? None exists.
Objection!
There was someone else present at the scene who could have committed this crime.
What?
And the victim, Miss Brett, tried to reveal who it was to those around her at the time. By mustering all her remaining strength, and pointing a trembling finger in the killer's direction.
This is fiction! Fantasy! Fact or fiction? This is fiction! Very well, as you seem so sure of yourself, counsel, I'm prepared to hear your alternative theory. So, young Ryutaro Naruto.
Yes, Your Excellency. You will present your latest theory to the court by means of this plan. At the moment the victim was stabbed, where exactly are you proposing the culprit was concealed? It had to be behind. Right?
Take that!
Naruhodo-san would never give up, and I'm a Naruhodo now. The true culprit who fatally stabbed Miss Brett was concealed in this location here. Are you mad? Are you mad, Counsel? You're suggesting the culprit was outside? Hell yeah, I am. Order, order, order. A student lawyer Naruhodo-san Esquire. That makes no sense at all. Ow. Oh, my nose. You just pointed out the exact spot where I was hiding to get my... Is that a confession I see? But I didn't see any suspicious individuals loitering around. I can swear to that.
Obviously, if the culprit had been outside the hut, there was no way he or she could have stabbed the victim who was inside.
Actually, Prosecutor Ouchie. Well, actually, there is a way. And in point of fact, the defense can provide evidence strongly suggesting that is precisely the way Miss Brett was killed.
You're bluffing! You're bluffing! You young...
The defense's assertion is clearly too fantastical for the court to comprehend. You will need to give us more guidance, Counsel. What piece of evidence corroborates your theory? I've got it right... right here.
Take that!
The original photographic print of the crime scene? Yes, it's clearly visible in this print. The trace of the fatal thrust that was delivered from outside the beach hut.
Objection!
Do you take us for fools? There's no hint of any such thing.
Use your eyes! I'm not sure that everyone present would agree. Someone at least appears to have noticed what it is I'm referring to. Care to point it out for us? Counsel, once again I must call on you to be explicit for the court. Where on the photograph is the trace of the stabbing? Right there. Do it have to be exact? Right.
Take that!
Look closely just here. In the screen at the back of the hut, you can see the effects of a blade having been forced through the reeds. Really? I thought it was just like maybe someone ripped, like instead of a blade, like maybe someone just reaching in, stretching the reeds, and then using the knife.
No, I can't. I can't see any such thing.
Get your eyeglasses checked. It's true that the hut in the question has 4 walls, as you'd expect. However, by parting the reeds, a knife blade could easily penetrate them. This is extraordinary! Yes. The true culprit actually stabbed the victim from outside the beach hut. Oh my god, I just had a thought. Okay. So this knife has no poison on it, right? And in my theory, if the fountain pen was the actual murder weapon because of the sharp pointy end and little reservoir for ink, and Write-In Many Memo has been dabbing his tongue with a pen this whole time. It's like, hey dude, wanna lick this? And of everyone present at the scene, there was only one person who could have done that. Only one person who was directly outside the hut when Miss Brett was killed. Write-In Many Memo-san, it could have only been you!
No!
Objection!
This preposterous idea leaves me almost speechless. Just look at the photograph again. The victim lies almost exactly in the center of the beach hut, did she not?
She was sitting on the stool beforehand.
Are we to assume, as part of this farcical scenario, that the assailant was a knife thrower?
Objection!
No, of course not.
We're not?
If you recall the testimony of the defendant about the events just before the victim's death. Inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett. But she just sat on a stool at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly at me as if she knew she was untouchable. Except for the reeds.
The stool?
Have another look at the photo. Imagine if she was sitting on the stool, but at that little table for tea, and the knife went through the slit in the read screen. Would align perfectly with the back of a person who was sitting on that stool. My word! So, in fact, the victim was killed whilst sitting on that stool by a stab wound to her back delivered through the read screen. Having been attacked, Miss Brett rose to her feet instinctively. But then, unable to speak, she collapsed on the floor in the middle of the hut. Before the defendant, Membami-san's appalled eyes. And that, Your Excellency, is the truth of what happened on the beach that day. By your silence, Mini-Memo-san, I take it that you don't deny the charge. I think he's thinking of a strategy, but you have a point.
This is absurd!
That's well true. It would appear that we have a tacit admission of guilt from the witness. Accordingly, this court has successfully established the truth of this matter. Which means that the defendant Membami-san is innocent of the crime. That was fast. Oh, thank goodness. I finally made him cave. I must say, I've never been more proud.
No, this can't be. The Ouchie clan can't. What of my growth? My growth of hope.
Shave your head.
It wasn't all an operation. I can't accept this. I won't.
I see no reason for the continuance of this trial. I will therefore move to conclude proceedings by delivering my I'm eating my hat! Well, this is all very convenient. This is how the highest court of our mighty empire delivers justice, is it? Suppressing well-meaning citizens' freedom to speak and branded them as criminals. But we've established that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut through the read screen walls. And no one but you was in place at the time to have his hand on the hilt of the blade. It's a perfectly logical deduction. So, your argument hinges on the location of whoever stabbed the Englishwoman, does it? Well, it seems a little irrelevant now. Irrelevant? Where she was stabbed, how she was stabbed. It don't matter. I mean, whether she was stabbed at all would make no difference if you think about it. Wait! After all... There's a new expression. This trial's already shown the whole thing hinges on something else. Is it the... I'm guessing it's the blade. Because it's the whole, like, how could she have died from that blade if it wasn't even poisoned in the first place?
Brace yourself, little man. I'm talking about the fact that everything's changed.
Because of the dirt you dug up. Huh? Enough obscurity. Explain yourself, witness. What's to explain? I'm talking about the poison, of course.
The poison?
Let's ask the professor for a comment on this situation, shall we?
Yeah.
I understand that a deadly poison you were developing was stolen from your laboratory, correct? And it's been shown that this poison was administered to the victim, Miss Brett. Is that right? That is correct. The unusual constriction of the victim's pupils are a sure sign that the particular poison was used. I see. So, presumably that means... that the victim already had the poison in her body before she was stabbed. Given that her pupils were clearly constricted, it seems highly likely. If she had been dead already, the poison could not have circulated in her blood.
How refreshing to hear the argument of a metropolitan mind. Precisely. It matters not a jot who stabbed whom and whose back and with whose blade.
What's happening?
Because quite simply, the Englishwoman's life was taken not by the knife, but by the poison.
Are we seriously arguing what killed her first? Couldn't have been both.
Objection!
But that can be explained by the poison being on the blade, as I already...
Objection!
Forgotten already, have we, Yoko? During these very proceedings, the laboratory of the professor at your side assisted in proving... Blam. That the blade of the weapon used to attack the victim had no trace of poison on it whatsoever.
Ugh. So let me get this down. The facts, as skillfully established by the defense in this trial, turned out to be a headline-making red herring. Is that about right? Well... Order, order, order! But where does this leave us? How, in that case, did the poison enter the victim's body? There's an undeniably obvious answer to that. The lady most likely imbibed it? Drank it? Okay, you mean she drank it? Have another look at the photograph here. As you can see... A bottle of carbonated water in a glass had been knocked out onto the sandy floor of the beach hut. Okay, hold on. I know earlier I said I thought maybe the pen was the murder weapon, but... If she was stabbed in the back and... she would have been... I don't know, maybe Ray... Maybe... Not Ray. Maybe Memo gave her the pen, left, the stabbing happened, and the poison was already in her? The poison could have been slipped into either. So, somebody made Miss Brett drink it. Well, what do you know? Look at those dashing eyes. This'll make a great front page shot. Hey, why'd the bewitching stare? After all, I'm the last person you should be looking at. It would make no sense at all to have poisoned the woman, would it? I mean, that's been established already. Established? What are you talking about? Don't tell me you've forgotten. That's a little hard to believe, given that the person who established it was you. Me? What on earth does he mean? Ooh, let me capture those wide eyes. This is prime press fodder, this is. It would appear it would seem that this trial is not yet destined to end after all. I hereby call upon the witnesses to give further testimony. That's great, that is. Let me get a shot at that magnificent beard, Your Excellency. You claim to be impossible when you were the one responsible for administering the poison. You will explain to the court in your testimony the basis upon which you make such a claim. I'm a journo and I'm a man. I never tried to run or hide from anything in my life. And I'm not about to start now because that's mini-memoism. For a brief moment I thought I illuminated the truth, but it slipped right back into obscurity again. Just where's this trial going to take us? Oh yeah, I stabbed an English woman, and it's... Okay, so you're a... Can we at least imprison him for that? He admits to assault. And that's and it's that very fact that proves I'm innocent. Because why would I have bothered to stab the woman if I'd already poisoned her? When I heard the student girl and that pompous English murderer arguing, it got my goat. If the courts weren't going to punish Brett for what she did, someone else would have to see justice done. So, you admit it. That everything happened as I described. That you are the one who stabbed Miss Brett in the back! Oops! You can blame this miserable country of ours. We live in a society! A country that bows to the pressure of foreign powers and lets murderers walk free. What kind of future can a country like that have? Oh, that's new. That's why I did it! I did what our pathetic leaders didn't have the guts to do. Slap bang in the middle of that charming lady's back. I plunged the blade of sweet justice right in there. Vigilante justice? As someone who spends his life seeing that the truth is told, I feel really, really awful about giving false information in my testimony before. But as it turns out, there was somebody else who had it in for the victim and got it to her before me. That's right, you guessed it.
Great! The pretty little student girl! Now there's a woman after my own heart!
You're implicating Ray again.
She's the one who gave the poison to Englishwoman and ended a pitiful existence!
And suddenly, snap! This journal is off the hook. The argument is sound, certainly. If the witness had administered the poison herself, he need only have waited for it to take effect. Subsequently, stabbing the victim in the back would have been entirely nonsensical.
And therefore, this report had nothing to do with the poisoning. Yes, it's all quite logical. Can we still arrest him for the stabbing?
That's right, it is. Logical and true. I'm glad you've all seen delight. Justice at last. This is unbelievable. And after I made so much progress in proving his guilt, is he gonna get away with it now?
Yep.
Think of Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san. They never stop looking for a way forward until the judge's final gavel. Very well then, counsel. Proceed with what I assume to be your final cross-examination in this trial. Yes, Your Excellency.
Hold it!
So you do admit that you had murderous intentions toward Miss Brett. Ha! The woman's very existence offended my sense of justice. Your sense of? He's claiming some sort of righteous indignation?
She was pure evil! A cold-blooded killer committed murder right there on our empire's soil! But did our government do anything?
Not a chance. So I had to step in. Flag the oh fuck. I'm so sorry. Flag. Yeah. Why did I say? God. Maybe I should. I think I've been talking too much. Like, brain. Fly the flag of justice. Put things right for the people. Yes, it was my civic duty. That's what drove me to it. So in summary, murderous intentions then. Whatever you want to call it, the point is this.
The Englishwoman was a blight!
So I didn't do what was right for society. Also, sorry, I know I already stated that was a mess up. It really was. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the real wrong was done by the student girl in the dock. A crime for which she must pay.
Obviously because the poisoning was nothing to do with me at all. Because why would I have bothered to stab the woman if I had already... Oh wait, I already read that. So you still maintain that you didn't give the poison to the victim? Obviously, that'd be like putting a belt on your trousers when you're already wearing braces like the... Braces? Oh, you mean like belt and suspenders?
The accused administered the poison, following which this witness stabbed the victim.
I can't read. Like, gab the victim?
An unforgivable act, certainly, but not one of murder. The crime rests on the accused's shoulders. That is how the law works, you see, Yoko. Who knows? You may even learn something here today.
Two consecutive attempts on her life in the space of minutes. Quite a day for the victim.
Yeah.
Do something, daddy, when you got it coming. That's how the law works. The law of reckoning. That's not the kind of law this court upholds. You will reiterate why you were compelled to stab the victim, then, witness.
Hold it!
How many pencils? What exactly were they arguing about? About what happened in that restaurant 9 months ago, that's what. The student girl was laying into the Englishwoman for killing her beloved mentor, Dr. Wilson. Yes, John H. Wilson, professor of medicine, invited here from England by Professor Mikotoba, no less. Right. But the English woman just jeered.
Her case was to be heard by the British consular court in Shanghai. However, there is little doubt that she would simply have been acquitted and sent back to her homeland a free woman.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It was eating that student girl up inside, you could see it. I really felt for her. Ray? Oh! Ray! I can't stand here and listen to this tripe. Ray.
Young girl, he's an accused you. You can just blurt out whatever you feel like.
No, you can't. Sorry, but I'm in the middle of some very important testimony here. Just keep quiet and listen. But this awful man is making all this up. Susato, please! Please! Please don't give me away like this! Return to the dock at once, Membami-san. We are in the middle of a cross-examination. Your Excellency, please, I implore you. That journalist is clearly not a trustworthy witness. Exactly, he's a filthy, rotten, black-hearted, bigoted, dirty, great peeping Tom! Whoa, take it easy, dear. Please, I really think the court should hear what the defendant has to say.
Your Excellency, I see no need whatsoever to entertain the accused's remarks.
For once in your life... Oh, thank God. I will grant a defense... I will grant the request of the defense.
Your Excellency!
This is likely to be the final cross-examination of these proceedings. You've said that twice! As such, I believe it would be ill-advised to stifle the defendant's obvious concerns. So, whilst recognizing this contravenes regular protocol, I hereby call upon the defendant to speak. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. I worried her head was going to hit the handrail. It's nothing to do with Dr. Wilson. We're discussing the stolen poison. Okay, I've heard you.
Hold it!
Stolen poison that killed the victim, you mean? I suspected her of being the one to steal it. I mean, just think about how she killed Dr. Wilson. That's true. Additionally, Miss Wright certainly has some knowledge of the new poison. But surely it would be no easy task stealing a highly secret toxin being developed for the government. Indeed. All visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even if a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult. That's true. I pestered Professor Mikotoba until he agreed to show me the poison when I visited his laboratory. But as I left, I was searched from top to tail. You don't have a tail. Miss Brett rather bluntly revealed the existence of the toxin we'd been developing. And since Soseki-san expressed such an interest in it, I felt unable to refuse. Obviously, I gave nothing away other than the fact that it was an extremely potent substance. I'm very ashamed of myself. It's just that I've had a singularly terrible experience with a deadly poison. Sorry, my memory is whole. Sorry, I'm having a... Like, either he's referring to this case right now, or... something... Was there poison in the very first case I met this dude? I wanted to look my old enemy in the eye! Surely you can understand that! To find out my suspicions were true, I confronted Miss Brett about the poison. I told her that if there were to be an incident involving it somehow, it wouldn't just be the university. The military would be dragged into it. The whole government, even. It would be a complete disaster. And how did Miss Brett respond to your concerns? She laughed at me! That too. She just curled those beautiful lips of hers and said she didn't know the first thing about it. In English, actually. Ah yes, Minimemo-san, one small question if you don't mind. Do you know English? I do mind, can't you see I'm busy? Clearly you're out... I thought I was the judge for a second. Clearly you're outside the beach hut listening in whilst the defendant and Miss Brett were conversing. Presumably then, it was you who wrote this article about what you'd heard? Wait, hold on. Okay, I forgot the murder took place. Was it 2 days ago? Exclusive. Deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. Using. The story was published in this morning's edition of Shoyu News. The details are too accurate for it to have been written by anyone else. Oh, he nervous. Sorry, don't know what you're talking about. Yes, look at this. The entire article. It's almost what I said to Miss Brett, word for word. Eee! Well, Many Memo-san. As a journal and as a citizen of a free country, I don't have to reveal my sources. That's a founding principle of Many Memoism. Many Memoism sucks. Father's clearly right about this. The reporter did write that article, and he based it on what he overheard from outside the hut. So that's what it was all about. You were trying to cover up the fact that you were listening in. That's why you came up with that stinking story about me arguing with her.
Shut up! My stories never stink! Look, whatever you say, little girl, it don't alter the facts. Your Excellency, there's something I want to say, and I want to go on record. Well, you may amend your formal testimony. How long is this gonna be? That's new. Soseki-san, do you have anything to add?
Hold it!
Perhaps you doubted the efficacy of the poison and sought to make sure your victim would die.
That's horse dung!
Nani?
Yeah. That would be like pouring pepper on your Chinese ramen before you even tasted it. Completely reckless. Although, it might surprise you to learn that.
Once the victim had taken the poison, she would have been only minutes away from death. And yet, this man then proceeded to stab her in the back as well. There has to be a good reason for that. If it was a reporter who gave the poison Miss Brett, then clearly, he must have done it prior to Ray entering the hut. The reporter gave clearly entered the hut. Maybe the stabbing was done so instead of I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like the poison. If the poison was already in her body, why would he stab her anyway? If okay. Working on the assumption that he knew the poison was already in her body and she was in the process of dying. Maybe he got impatient? Like it wasn't doing it fast enough? Or maybe Brett said something that threw him off. Yes, that's undeniable. But between him leaving the hut and the victim being stabbed, there was one very crucial change in the situation. Sorry? What change?
Out my nose.
The reporter overheard the conversation between Ray and the Englishwoman. Oh yeah, that's it. That's when Many Memo-san first found out about the exact nature of the poison. That could be the key here. If the victim had unwillingly taken the poison already, the reporter would know no reason to stab her. Hold on, let me take a look at this pen again. Can I... reservoir that holds the ink. Draw ink. You fill it by drawing ink from a bottle up through the nib. There doesn't appear there isn't any ink. Face of it, that logic sounds entirely reasonable. But there's no question that this man was responsible for Miss Brett's murder. If we could think of a plausible explanation as to why he might have stabbed her, even after the poisoning, I feel sure that everything would drop into place. That's what we should be looking into. Yeah, I agree. In order to do that, I must try and glean more information. Did I get enough yet? Like, I already... Also, symptoms occurs in minutes. Substance to be suggested toxin. Cells monitoring the body. Would prove fatal in minutes. Hey! Maybe for this?
Objection!
Fuck. I apologize. I thought maybe it would be he stabbed her so the photo he could take that photograph and make Ray look guilty. Did they say anything new? Like, especially since there was no poison on it? Guess not. Hold on, let me see it.
Hold it!
Horse dung. What? Maybe the stabbing was... part of me is thinking maybe it's along the lines of, oh shit, she has my pen? Wrong button.
Objection!
Damn it!
Okay, it's not the pen, it's not this. the only reason I can think of why you would stab someone after poisoning them is that the poison wasn't working fast enough. This is the only other thing I could think of, because aside from the poison, like, sure, the poison was taking effect, but the cause of death, even though it had been detected, it was a stab wound.
Objection!
No! Alright, I'm getting... yeah. Okay, it's not that. It's not the... It's not this.
Objection!
Damn it! I'm just guessing at this point. Wait. Okay, it's not that. It's not this. It's not this. It's not this.
Objection!
Okay. That was a guess, but I don't know where this is going. Well, I can think of one reason. What? What? But before I explain, I'd like you to confirm something for the court. Did you glean all the information for this newspaper article from what you overheard outside the hut? Oh, there might have been some misinformation. Sorry, I'm trying to... Oh yeah, I guess like... Okay, so I guess from the news article it hasn't been detected yet, but... Then we have this, a way to spot it. Of course he did! There can be no question of that! I wasn't asking you. After all, when we were all in the laboratory together... all we were told was that it was a terrible toxin! And there was one more important fact to consider. According to the witness, Membami-san's verbal attack against the victim began as soon as she entered the hut. In other words, it would have been impossible for her to have slipped the poison into Miss Brett's drink.
Objection!
Where are you going with this, counsel?
Mini Memo-san had made it quite clear that he observed every single thing that happened in the beach hut. Oh! Okay, so it's like he saw everything, but not her putting the poison in her drinks or anything. If the defendant had somehow found an opportunity, this man would have seen it. Which means that Miss Brett couldn't have imbibed, drank the poison while the defendant was present. In fact, it must have been administered to her before Membami-san entered the hut. Yes, very articulately put. When I walked into the hut, I immediately started to press Miss Brett about the poison. At which point, Mini Memo-san overheard some worrying information.
Worrying information?
What worrying information? The fact that the poison exists? The information which he subsequently included in his newspaper article. Namely, that the poison was being developed in strict secrecy. I almost said secret strictly. And that it couldn't be readily obtained. Absolutely. In fact, that's quite an understatement. The only possible place it could have come from is my lab. And furthermore, anyone afflicted by the poison would exhibit telltale signs in death. The extreme constriction of the pupils. Yes, it's quite stark when you see it. There are other poisons that show similar symptoms, but not among new substances that are undetectable. In other words, it would be clear that the victim's life had been ended by the use of this particular poison, which would reduce the number of suspects to only a handful of people. Everyone in my laboratory is aware of the unique properties of the toxin we've been developing. None of them would be foolish enough to attempt to use it for some nefarious deed. Mabami-san being no exception. Therefore, we can conclude that whoever administered this unique poison to the victim was a layperson, unaware of its telltale properties. Blam! In other words, someone like you. Right-hand many memo. It was you who stole the poison from the lab that day, and it was you who administered it to the unwitting victim. But you quickly realized that was a terrible mistake. Because the poison caused such unusual symptoms and it was so traceable. As you listened in from the far side of the beach hut's thin walls, you learned of those facts. But you'd already given the victim the poison at that point. It was too late. So you hatched a plan to disguise your mistake. A plan that involved stabbing the victim in the back through the read screen.
Objection!
What good could I possibly do?
Isn't it obvious, Counsel? The plan was to kill Miss Brett before the poison could take effect. Big problem for him, it didn't work. Once in the blood, the poison causes the onset of pupil constriction. But he had hoped to precipitate the victim's death before that happened, hadn't he? Exactly. Because without any revealing signs of the new secret poison's use, no one would ever have suspected. This is extraordinary. Yes, the effect of the poison meant it would be too easily identified, so the killer had to mask its use. Which he attempted to do by plunging a knife into the middle of the victim's back.
The argument presents as sound. The court is satisfied that it warrants consideration. Does the prosecution have a counter-argument it wishes to put forward?
Well, there are a number of... yes! I counter it completely!
Objection!
The prosecutor's evasive response clearly shows that in much the same way as he nurtures the remnants of his top knot, he is clinging but to lost hope.
Lost hope?
Mini memo? Called it. Oh! That's new. Also not good. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. Your hair looks nice. You pathetic, useless fallen samurai.
Fallen? Who are you calling fallen? My burgeoning growth.
I don't need a counter argument. What are you talking about? It should be blatantly obvious. Seriously, that haircut is really nice. I stole the poison, you say. Give it to the victim, you say. Stabbed her, you say. Lots of fine theories. But I don't need a counter-argument because you don't have an argument yourself. Where's your evidence? Yes, you make it all sound so plausible, don't you? But without evidence, it means nothing. Whereas I base my news on facts. Facts? What is a fact? I mean, what the professor said earlier in this trial. It's all here in my many memos. Every word, every slip of the tongue, all noted. That's what the Shoyu News is famous for. It's the power of the printed word. Oh, wait. Oh, is this where my pen theory comes into play? How's that then? Blow the story wide open? See, I write in many memo, a mere reporter from the Shoyu News. Couldn't possibly have stolen that poison from the professor's lab. can't be any question of it. He must have stolen the poison that day. He stole it and used it to kill. And if that's the case, as you've identified, the poison itself is the definitive evidence we need. Because whoever stole it from the lab that day is the true culprit here. What's your point, you annoyingly handsome country bumpkin? Are you hitting on me? My point is this. There's one way that you, Mini Memo-san, could have stolen the poison that day.
I've heard enough verbal conjecture now, thank you. What the course must be shown is evidence.
Take that!
The proof, Your Excellency, is this fountain pen.
A fountain pen? How could that possibly be relevant?
These magical pens somehow seem to have enough ink to write many thousands of kanji characters. I believe they arrived in our country for the first time some 15 years ago now. When the UK came in?
I swear by a weasel hair calligraphy brush and nothing else. These newfangled pens are merely a fad.
Oh boy. Well, as a forward-thinking man of words, obviously I love my fountain pen. Suck about a soup... I can't pronounce that. Also, that's an interesting face in hand thing you're doing there. Suck up a blank of sumptuous ink, and one's work is awash with words in the blink of an eye. That's right. Fountain pens have a small reservoir in the barrel, into which ink is sucked up through the nib of the pen in order to write with later.
What does all the talking of sucking up ink have?
And just as it's possible to suck ink up into the reservoir, do we have to say suck every time? It's also possible to eject it through the nib again.
My word, can this really be?
Okay, Your Honor, I have two suggestions. One, we have this chemical reagent that we can use to test the pen for poison. Two, hey, Mini Memo, you seem to like licking your writing utensils, right? Right, lick on this! Well, Mini Memo-san? When you saw the deadly poison before your eyes in the laboratory that day, you used your fountain pen, your very lifeblood, to steal some of it, didn't you? By siphoning the poison up through the nib and into the pen's reservoir.
Objection!
More absurdity. That never happened.
True, we've heard that there were procedures in place to prevent thefts like this from the lab. But would anyone have thought to look inside a fountain pen of all places? No. I'm a little ashamed to say that for fear of offending our guests, such a detailed search would not have been conducted.
Well, this is quite startling, I must say.
I remind the court that this pen was found in the clutches of the victim when she died. In other words, it was dropped at the scene by Mini Memo-san. So the crucial question is, when exactly was the pen dropped?
Are you suggesting?
The natural conclusion is that in your haste to act whilst the victim was distracted for a moment, you dropped the pen after you emptied the poison from it into her glass.
Objection!
There could be any number of alternative explanations. For example, the witness could have been using his pen to write down details of his conversation with the victim. And when shocked by one of her outrageous answers, the pen fell from his quivering hand.
Objection!
No, that can't be. If it was, how do you explain why the pen was devoid of ink?
What?
As you can see for yourself if you examine the evidence, there would appear to be no ink present in the reservoir. What newspaper reporter goes to interview someone with nothing in his pen? No, the pen was dropped after the poison that filled its reservoir had been emptied into the victim's glass.
Witness, what do you have to say to your defense?
Wahahaha! So this is how our modern justice system works, ain't it?
So what if the ink in my pen
Runs dry. So what if my pencil snaps? Oh! I can always call my way back into the game. You start pencil Wolverine. I have plenty in reserve. Oh! Pencils for everyone. Claim I sucked the poison up into my pen. That's wild speculation, nothing more. If you thought you could bring down a fine upstanding citizen with a trick like that, think again. It looks as though it's going to take one final decisive blow to finish this matter.
As I see it, the situation is now very simple. It rests upon whether or not this witness did indeed steal the poison on the day in question. And therefore, it all depends upon whether or not the defense can prove that he did it with evidence.
No such evidence could possibly exist.
Objection!
Mini Memo-san, this is how our modern justice system works.
Nani?
In the courtroom, evidence is everything. Something you would do well to remember. Because we're well past the point of speculation at this stage, I assure you.
Very well then. I call upon the defense to present the aforementioned evidence.
This is it. This will be the final piece in the puzzle. The defense can prove by means of this item that it was the witness's pen that was used to steal the poison. First, let me save. Two, I really? I don't know, I think it would have been hilarious to go like, hey, Mini Memo-san, you want to prove this pen wasn't used for poison? You've been licking all your pens. Come over here, licky licky. But no, I don't think they're gonna go that far.
Take that!
Cultural awareness up, bottle.
This bottle contains the unique chemical region that can identify the poison in question. Yes, that poison is an entirely new synthesis of alkaloids developed by my colleagues and I. It would be impossible to detect traces of it by any other method. Are alkaloids used in all poison-detecting substances? Or, from another perspective, simply with this chemical region, anybody at all could check for traces of the poison.
A region? What?
One drop of the contents of this bottle on the tip of your fountain pen, Mini Memo-san, is all it will take to solve this case beyond all reasonable doubt.
No, you can't.
I won't! Your crimes are bad enough, but at least know when to admit defeat. Your Excellency, the defense requests permission to carry out the test on the fountain pen.
Here we go! Hey!
Oh, got your camera!
This isn't my fault. The Empire drove me to do this. I can't read it. It's going too fast. Oh God! Your camera! Oh God! Mini! Oh!
Susato, with me! I'm there.
Nice.
Did I do it right? That was the Susato takedown, wasn't it? Not quite. That was a Ryutaro takedown. I thought he was going to eat his pencils, but squeaking the camera like a madman works too. The instant the first drop of the reagent touched the nib of the fountain pen, it was clear to everyone present. What color? Does it turn color?
Oh!
When I saw it there in the lab, the poison, the devil got hold of me and I decided to do it on a whim. I excused myself and emptied all the ink down the sink in the bathroom, watching the reservoir out carefully. And then you waited for an opportunity to suck up some of the poison, didn't you? Into your fountain pen. Does it work like a syringe? Yeah, that's right. Answer me one thing, Mini Memo-san. Why did you steal it? For what purpose?
Ain't it obvious? To find out what it was made of and expose it in an article. You're not a scientist!
I mean, it was a secret project after all. Too juicy for a journal like me to pass up.
Then why did the Englishwoman end up dead?
I went into that hut intended to quiz her on their situation, that's all. As a reporter. Intending or pretending. A known killer, enjoying full freedom. Evaded justice by leaving the country. Leaving the country. I told her what I thought about it.
And she just laughed in my face!
Oh, what's this? A Far Eastern caveman purporting to practice journalism? Really, you must learn the difference between reporting and listening at doorways. You ignorant plebeian. What did you call me? What did you call me? This country with its pretensions to a justice system, to a free pass. It's very depressing. You see all superior ways in the West, yet you lack the mental capacity to emulate them. Get out of here, you oaf! Get out and crawl back to the cave where you came from! Yeah, I wouldn't poison her, but I'd punch her in the face. That's when I remembered about the deadly poison I happened to have in my pen at the time. Wait, so she told you to leave, and did you go, like, fine, I'm leaving, but first let me have a sip of your wine? Drips poison from the pen and leaves. What a terrible tale. In my head, I knew I should just get out of there as quickly as possible, but I couldn't. I couldn't let her get away with what she'd done, when she clearly had no remorse at all. I suppose it was my journo spirit, getting all fired up. I'd like to ask you something. Yes? You often talk about justice. But surely as a journalist, you could have used other means to deliver the justice you sought. There's no justice in the press. Sorry? After that trial 9 months ago, I kept digging and digging to find out what happened in that courtroom. And finally, I discovered the truth. It was a cover-up. That's what it was. Cover-up? Wait, that whole trial? Or the verdict? I would remind you of your position, listeners. Be careful of what you say. Oh, come on! Don't it strike you as strange? We're certainly not allowed to convict a foreign national. Consular jurisdiction should never come to it. And yet that puffed-up Englishwoman was going to sail away into the sunset, a free woman. The only possible explanation is that behind the scenes, some deal had gone down between Britain and Japan. What sort of deal? I'd done my research, dug up all the dirt. It was all ready to be published. But you know what happened? The editor just tore the article up. You came under pressure from the government, you mean? If our government is going to let criminals walk free, if they're going to crush the free press, then what choice do I have but to see that justice done myself? Okay, I feel like this dude, like, murder aside, like, yes, he did murder, but this whole spirit of, like, free press, like, the truth has to come out. I feel like we desperately need that in the US right now. Let's not forget, Minimomo-san, that you committed murder yourself, and you tried to lay the blame at the defendant's door. I'm sorry, but you're no better than Giselle Brett. The truth is, you have no right to talk about justice at all. I suppose...
It would appear that we have reached a conclusion in this trial at last. Counsel for the defense, Ryotaro Naruhodo.
Oh, okay, that's her. Also, I keep expecting them to pull a, wait a minute, you're not a male attorney, you're a female attorney! I keep expecting them to pull that somehow, but maybe, I don't know, either that or maybe everyone already knew and they sort of like, let's see how this goes. Yes, sorry, Your Excellency, just musing in a manly way here.
It's almost unbelievable this is your first experience of the Supreme Court. It was an excellent performance. In truth, it very much reminded me of your cousin's exploits.
Ryunosuke, you mean?
The way he handled the trial 9 months ago, and the way you handled this one. It gives me hope that we are genuinely entering a new era of justice in this land.
That's very flattering, Your Excellency.
Hearing the defense you put forward today made me feel most keenly that the future of our justice system will be forged by you and your contemporaries.
Thank you.
So, Prosecutor Ouchie, do you have any final thoughts?
Prosecutor Ouchie? Is that a... I have been bested by a callow youth not once now, but twice. Sorry, when I first saw the box, I thought it was like a birdhouse, but then I saw the knife, so... Is he shaving his head?
If there were any shred of my former self left, it has withered and died here today.
Gosh, your journey to cultural enlightenment sure took a while, didn't it?
Silence! Rather than living it on in shame,
Oh!
I will end it all now with this blade.
I'm pretty sure he's gonna just give himself a haircut, but the way they position the blade is like, we're gonna make it look like he's gonna stab himself.
For the true path, the true path to Ouchieism.
Ouchieism? One hopes that the only way in which he'll be modeling himself after the witness.
Spring of my top knot. The time is right for farewell. Hope is lost forever. Taketsuchi.
A little itty bitty hair. There he goes. She's paying her respects. Well, so is he. And him. Press F to pay respects to hair.
Now, in regard to the defendant, Raymond Bami-san,
Yes, Your Excellency.
I have reached my final verdict. I hereby find you...
Yay!
Court is adjourned.
It's over. My heart is still pounding in my chest, though. It's all I can do just to stay standing. Lawyers have such great responsibility. Such a great burden to bear. Don't they, Naruhodo-san? Susato! Susato! Thank you. Thank you so much. You were so dashing in there. Marry me! Ray and Father. Honestly, I'm so touched by everything you've... Oh no. I think I'm gonna cry. It wasn't easy, but together we made it. I was on the verge of tears at the end, too. The only reason I'm still here is because of you. No, I can't take all the credit. It took courage to tell the truth in there. You did wonderfully, Ray. So I would have to say that the congratulations belong to you. Susato, don't be so standoffish. Sorry. We're friends, equals, and the trial's over, so no more of this formal super humility nonsense. It's time to celebrate with swagger. Maybe swagger's not the best word. To throw caution to the wind. Caution to the... What? I'm the great defense lawyer, Ryutaro Naruhodo, and I'm gonna take you out to a milk bar tomorrow. Milk bar? It's... Okay, I only know of milk bars from Legend of Zelda, where milk was, like, basically alcohol, so... One, were milk bars an actual thing way back when? And two, is this the Ace Attorney alluding to alcohol with a milk bar? Or something? Right, I see. I'll think about it, Ray. At any rate, we really knocked the wind out of that horrid man, and it felt so good. Yes, it was satisfying. It really was. Isn't there anybody else we could throw together? Quick, Dad! Hey, Dad, can we throw you? I hope you're not looking at me, Ray. Oh, my goodness, no, of course not, of course not. Ah, there it is at last. Ray's lovely smile. She's been smiling like a few times so far. You fought for your friends to the very last. As your father, I'm extremely proud of you. Defense Attorney Ryutaro Naruhodo. Thank you, but I couldn't have done it without your help. Anyway, it's time to bid farewell to Ryutaro, I think. I shall miss him in a way, but it's back to Susato Mikotoba now. Maybe wait until you're outside of the courtroom to revert? Because I'm nervous that if someone in the court or in that trial sees you and it's like, wait a minute, the defendant's attorney was a lady? That trial is therefore null and void. She's guilty. So, I'll never see him again then. What a terrible shame. What? What is happening? Soseki-san and Inspector Hosonaga. I do hope you've been keeping well. Is that really you? Yes, I had to change my appearance for obvious reasons, I hope, but it's me. Susato Mikotoba. Don't. So dashing. Oh, the turtle. Also, dang. Susato's got a fan club. Susato, can you be a drag king and make Ryutaro your drag name? No! Doubly dashing, yes, and devilishly divine, just look at you! I had no idea, Miss Susato-san Esquires, that you were the locum student Naruhodo-san Esquire's cousin! Astounding! Ace, attorney! Poor Soseki-san. So confused. I still remember the first time I ever met him. He was in a prison cell in London. One extraordinary conundrum it was that the unwitting student from Japan found himself embroiled in. Wait a minute. Wasn't the maid... Like, I remember the maid was juror number 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't remember her husband taking her place at the end of the trial.
Ah, my eye.
And now he seems to have earned himself great fame as an author.
Ah, my eye.
Speaking of Soseki Natsume, I actually did some digging, and I learned that the word Wagahai, the name for the cat Wagahai in this game, it was actually a reference to a poem he wrote about cats, and I think Wagahai was a very, very, very formal way of saying, like, referring to yourself, like, ore, boku, watashi, like, it was an extremely formalized version of that. That's a truly impressive disguise. Even I had no idea, and I'm the Chief Inspector of the Police Bureau! Who came up with Mr. Turtle, nonetheless? And you never gave me his name till now. I'm not sure you should be admitting to that, Inspector. Amazing. You're a woman of many faces, I see. Just 2, really. And this was a once-in-a-lifetime event. I hope. Oh, I'm not a patch on you, though. I'm not a patch on you, though? Well, I am a professional, of course. You still haven't gotten any medical attention for your coughing and bleeding, have you? I do worry about Inspector Hosonaga sometimes. I really do. 9 months ago, when he appeared here at the Supreme Court to testify, he was undercover, disguised as the head waiter of a restaurant. And then he got beat up! And then on the steamship to Great Britain, of course, disguised as a sailor to keep us safe. Though, that didn't help you, did it? Kazuma-sama. From my perspective, I have to admit that I have mixed feelings about all this. I mean, Now the truth has been lost forever. What? Oh, the cover-up. What do you mean? I'm talking about the murder that the Englishwoman committed at the end of the last year. Oh yes, it was an English doctor she killed, as I understand it. Dr. John H. Wilson, yes. The man I invited to Japan personally. The mystery is, why did she kill him? And now that the culprit herself is dead, we'll probably never know the answer. There might be an answer, but it's kind of cryptic and involves some Morse code. On the voyage to Great Britain, we had a most unexpected encounter. With Mr. Sherlock Holmes, the great detective, I mean. Yes, I remember Mr. Sholmes well, of course. My arch-nemesis. How lightly you utter his name. Well, according to the stories published about him in The Adventure of Sherlock Holmes, the detective once had a partner who helped him solve crimes. A best friend. And that man was an exceptional doctor of medicine, by the name of John H. Wilson. What? Dr. Wilson? I just can't believe that it's a coincidence. I think that the English doctor of medicine killed here in Japan 9 months ago must have been the friend and partner of Mr. Sholmes. And Mr. Sholmes is taking care of his partner's daughter. And if that's really true, then the poor girl won't ever see her beloved father again. As you know, I traveled to Great Britain once myself to study. It was around the time you were born. Yes, grandmother told me about it. On returning to Japan, I took up my I almost said professorship at Imperial Yume University. But I also serve another role, as an advisor to the government on diplomatic affairs. Is everyone like a secret government thing? Yes, I was aware of that as well. In that case, I'm sure you understand that there are some confidential matters that I cannot divulge to you. Could you just tell me one thing? Why did you summon me back to Japan? It's been 2 months now since I returned. When I left England, it was because an urgent telegram had arrived from Japan. Oh yeah, the note saying that he was sick. It said that you collapsed with a high fever and you're growing weaker by the day. What? Where did that news come from? That's what I'd like to know. Because after that long sea voyage, I found you in fine health. Was there something in Great Britain that you perceived might inconvenience me in some way? Or harm me? That's really the only explanation I can think of. Sorry, I'm thinking like, at first I was thinking, did you have to fake being sick in order to get her back? But then I realized maybe that might have been the only way to do it. Like, Susato, I'm lonely, come home! Oh, father, I'm sorry, but I'll be back soon, I promise, after I help out Naruhodo with some things. Susato, help! There's been an accident at the university! Oh no, can you handle it? Can you handle it? I'm a little too far away. Susato, I'm dying! I'm on my way! Dear me. Do you reserve your most cutting glares for your father, Susato? I'm sorry, my dear, I simply can't. Oh. Hi! Hello! What are you doing here? So, one throw wasn't enough for you. I've got one last thing to say before they take me away. Professor? Me? I know the truth. I know you had a hand in what went on. And that visiting student's fate. What? Visiting student? Giselle Brett, you mean? No, not her! The student of law who— Oh! Kazuma? What are you talking about? What does any of this have to do with him? Nobody in Japan knows anything about it. They don't know that the guy never made it to England, that he died on that steamship, and that he'll never— What? Oh my god! The judge? You can throw too? Also, I just noticed the badge is like, it's on his nipples. Well, I didn't expect to find him in here. What were you officers playing at? Terribly sorry, Excellency. Can we at least get more info from him?
I was coming to tell you that the rickshaw has arrived, Eugene. It's a good job I came by. Yes, thank you for dealing with...
Oh, yes, thank you for dealing with him. I'll be there shortly. Your Excellency.
Ha ha!
It's so weird seeing him outside of the podium. Or judge's bench.
The trial's over. I'm not your Excellency anymore. Merely your father's friend, Seishiro Jikoku.
Okay, I don't know what Seishiro means, translates to, but last I remember, Jigoku is the Japanese word for hell?
And may I say that since I saw you last, you seem to have taken on a more dashing appearance. Susato?
Did you know all along? Oh, he did know from the start of the trial?
Ha ha ha! A judge sees everything, Susato.
I couldn't let you take the risk. If Seishiro here hadn't if Seishiro here hadn't known and then he'd recognized you. So I had a word in his ear beforehand, as an old friend. So, Seishiro, shall we?
Yes, having ruled on that case, we now have various diplomatic issues to address.
Before you go, Father. Sorry, my dear. We shall have to return to our earlier conversation at a later date. But well done again, both of you. You did admirably. Oh, thank you very much. Can I at least visit Raiten in jail? Like, hey, look, you're saying things about cover-ups and government secrets. Tell me what you know. Thank you very much.
What did you think of my Seishiro sling, eh? It's been a while since I sent a man flying like that. Wah ha ha ha.
Whatever could Father be hiding from me? About Giselle Brett, Dr. Wilson, and now it seems, according to the reporter, about Kazuma-sama. I'm gonna have to bring this up with Father sometime. When nobody else is around. Hello! Judicial Assistant Mikotoba Esquires, can I have a word? Yes, of course, Soseki-san. What is it? I think perhaps it could be fate that we're meeting again like this now. You see, there's something I need to tell you. I believe that it may be related to the reason why your father summoned you back from England. You know? This I have to hear. Please, Oseki-san, tell me! I will! As you know, my time in England was terrible. Cursed, I have no doubt. Such awful things I was embroiled in. Thank goodness locum student Naruhodo-san Esquire stepped in. After he secured my freedom, I couldn't wait to get on a ship back here to my homeland. Having arrived in Japan, I submitted a report about my experiences to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Next thing I knew, I had a visitor. It was your father, Professor Mikotoba. He wanted to ask me all sorts of things about my report. Is that where that interview came in? My father. He seemed to be especially taken with a particular part of the report. Sorry, I'm trying to think. What could have possibly caught his attention? Anyway, he left eventually, having thoroughly quizzed me. But it was the very next day that he sent the telegram to you asking you to return to Japan. What was it then? The particular part my father was interested in.
What?
I don't really know exactly. But do you remember them? Those two terrible cases I was caught up in? Two? I swear, I thought it was only one. Like the case with the maid lady and her husband. What was the other? Was there really another one? Susato, please help me. Of course, I can never forget. Your father seemed to concern himself mainly with the second case. Second one? You mean... The what? The one Mr. Schultz forbade any of us to talk about in public. Are we... Is this gonna lead to a flashback? Which is why the only case involving you that any... Which is why the only case involving you that any member of the public is aware of is the first.
Well, I don't care. I don't have to listen to what that dastardly detective says.
Anyway, the point is, it seems that case somehow holds the key to all these curious unanswered questions. That horrific, hideous, heinous case. The case of the haunted lodgings. That case somehow caused my father to summon me urgently back to Japan. I thought the whole business was over, but it seems I was wrong. Perhaps that was only the start. Perhaps the story is not yet told.
So, the mystery of that English woman's death is solved, thank goodness. And having stood in the Supreme Court now, I think I can comprehend a little better. How you must be feeling as you fight for people's freedom in a foreign land, Naruhodo-san. But actually, I'm writing to you today because of another matter.
I'm going back to the UK!
Soseki-san and we talked about that second case he was involved in. Father has said nothing to me, but I feel certain of it. That case holds the key to some great unsolved mystery. My notes on the case should still be in the office, tucked away at the back of the shelves on the left. Perhaps you might like to look over them again. Today, for the first time this year, it feels as though summer has arrived. The sky is a brilliant blue. It makes me long to see you again. Yours, Susato.
I just hope the government isn't digging through her like the people's mail. Yay.